Haribol, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. It's working, eh? Yes, it's working. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Hare Krishna, dear devotees of Lord Narasimha. Welcome. I hope they arranged the translation. Oh, maybe the baby can play. Thank you. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Oh Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Oh Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivardhar Hari Jaya Girivardhar Hari. I want another one. Give me another one. Another one. Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana. Thank you. Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana. Yamuna Chiravanachari. O Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. O Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivardhar Hari Jaya Girivardhar Hari. Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana. Yamuna Chiravanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Oh Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Shri Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Prahlad Lakshmi Narasimha Bhagwan ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. It's so amazing. It's so nice. It's so amazing to give class while everybody here is in the service, doing such wonderful service for the Lord. Of course, hearing in itself, smaranam, is also service. It is the most important process of devotional service is hearing. But it's so nice to see you hearing and at the same time practical, doing all these nice things for Lord Narasimha. It's very inspiring. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Thank you. So, yesterday I happened to hear that I have to give a class because there was they were not sure whether the class would go on or something like that. Anyhow, here I am, and I would try to say something about the verse written on the board. It's Canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, entitled The Status Quo. I will speak slowly so the translators can translate easily. I will read today and speak about Canto 3, which is entitled The Status Quo. Chapter is entitled The Fundamental Principles of Material Nature. And the text today is text number 6. Okay, I'm going to do line by line and then please repeat. Evam para bhijnanena Evam para bhijnanena Kartritam praktehe puman Kratritam praktehe puman Karmasu kriyamanesu Karmasu kriyamanesu Gunar atmani manyate Gunar atmani manyate. So now I do one time full and then please the Prabhus and Matajis can repeat. Evan parabhijnanena Kartritam praktehe pumam Karmasu kriyamanesu Gunar atmani manyate. Prabhus, please. Sikam praksute punam. Kamachu chvyachanisu. Gunaratmai manute. Evam paracham jijanena. Katritam praksute punam. Karmanu kishamanesu. Gunaratmani manyate. Evam parabhi yuanina. Katvitam parche puman. Amanishakya manesu. Gunaratmanyam varnyate. Thank you so much. And even if you think you can't pronounce this, is amazing. It's your eagerness to do this. The intention will be rewarded. It's not about perfect speaking. It's amazing. Thank you so much. Mataji's, please. Evam yajvanena Bhakti-jivanadari puna Karma-chya manacho Urma-kunajimannite Evam paradiyavina Katvritam prakrite pumam Karmani shyamanesu Gunaratmani manyate. One more. Evam prita pachadhanam Katvritam prakrititam Amapriyuyata kamanchi Gunaratma miyayate. Thank you so much. So now we're doing word for word. Evam, in this way, para, other, abhidyanena, by identification, kartviditam, the performance of activities, praktrate, of the material nature, puman, the living entity, karmasu kriyamanesu, while the activities are being performed, gune, by the three modes, atmani, to himself, manyate, he considers. Translation. Because of his forgetfulness, the transcendental living entity accepts the influence of material energy as the field of activities. And thus actuated, he wrongly applies the activities to himself. Again, because of his, you can say with me, because of his forgetfulness, the transcendental living entity accepts the influence of material nature, of material energy as his field of activities. And thus actuated, he wrongly applies the activities to himself. Thank you. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay. The forgetful living entity can be compared to a man who is under the influence of disease and has become mad, or to a man haunted by ghosts who acts without control and yet thinks himself to be in control. Under the influence of material nature, the conditioned soul becomes absorbed in material consciousness. In this consciousness, whatever is done under the influence of the material energy is accepted by the conditioned soul as self-actuated. Actually, the soul in his pure state of existence should be in Krishna consciousness. When a person is not acting in Krishna consciousness, he is understood to be acting in material consciousness. Consciousness cannot be killed, for the symptom of the living entity is consciousness. The material consciousness simply has to be purified. One becomes liberated by accepting Krishna or the Supreme Lord as master, and by changing the mode of consciousness from material consciousness to Krishna consciousness, or from material consciousness to pure consciousness. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jananalashaya Kajam Chaksuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shai Gurudeva Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhisya Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudhi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, thank you. So before I start to explain this verse, I'm going to do something what is not usual, but I'm going to do it, and that's because I see a lot of new faces here, and it might be that they didn't read this canto, or this chapter even, the chapter about where Lord Kapila is instructing his mother Devahuti about transcendental knowledge. I'm going back to the history so you can better understand the verse, okay? I'm going to explain something about the personalities and something about the background of the teachings of Lord Kapila Deva. So we are now reading from Canto 3. The status quo. This microphone is a little bit in the way. And actually, it is about, it all started, this speaking of Kadama, of Kapila to his mother Devahuti. It all started with Lord Brahma. That's the beginning. Lord Brahma. So, Lord Brahma is the first living entity. Yes? He took birth. He took birth on a lotus flower, which was sprouting from the navel of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And Lord Brahma, the first living entity created by Lord Krishna, he had an amazing task. He had a wonderful, the most amazing devotional service, because his task was to create all the planetary systems, to create all the planets, and not only the planets, but also all the living entities living there, like the animals, like the human form of life, the plants. So that was his service. Yeah. So Brahma is not only the greatest servitor of Lord Krishna, but it's amazing. Krishna rewarded him and trusted him, but he is humility himself. Although sometimes we think he is proud. If you read the Srimad Bhagavatam, the story about how he was stealing the cows, but he wasn't pride at all. He was so humble that before starting to create the whole planetary system, he prayed to the Krishna, "Oh Krishna, please grant me, give me some creative energy. Otherwise, without your mercy, I cannot create." So, and he was not only, and that's why Krishna was so satisfied with him. He went and did tapasya before creating. He did tapasya 100 Brahma years. And Krishna was so satisfied that Krishna granted him with all the Vedic knowledge. So Lord Brahma is also the greatest Vedic authority. And he established the Brahma Sampradaya because he had so much passion with what he had to do. He had to create the planets in the material world where Maya resides. And he thought, oh my Krishna, all these living entities, they're going to suffer. But still, I have the task to create the living entities. So that's why he established this Brahma Sampradaya, because his aim was that when they're already born and living here, I feel myself responsible to impart them all with transcendental knowledge. You see, he created him and he wanted to impart him with transcendental knowledge so that one day by this knowledge they could go back to Godhead. This is the personality, Lord Brahma. So he had his task was to create living entities. So he was fully focused on progeny. That means he wanted the world, the whole universe filled with population. And that's why, but that was his task. Come on, Krishna said, I want to see human forms of life and animals and trees. Come on, create them. So he instructed all his sons to beget children. And one of his sons, now we come to Kadama Muni, where the chapter is dealing with, one of his sons is Kadama Muni. And Kadama Muni, you have to read the story. I'm going briefly to the background. So Kadama Muni, a great sage, very elevated soul, he prayed to the Lord, oh my dear Lord, please, I want to get married. I have to beget children. It's an instruction of my father. So, and I'm also eager to beget children. So please, can you send a female? Can you send a woman on my part? Okay. He did tapasya even, and because the Lord was so very pleased with Kadama Muni, he personally appeared in front of him, and the Lord promised him, and it happened also, that he will send a woman to him, and that woman is Devahuti. So the story is about Kadama Muni, son of Brahma, Lord Brahma, and Devahuti, who is a granddaughter of Lord Brahma, because she is the daughter of Swayambhavu Manu, who's Brahma's son. Okay, that's the story. What happened then is they begot together 9 daughters, okay? And Kadama, on one day, can you imagine, on one day, Kadama Muni divided himself in 9 persons, and they begot 9 daughters. And this wife, Devahuti, she is known as somebody who is very elevated, very advanced, supported her husband in his spiritual life, even neglecting her body to focus on how to support her husband to remain his spiritual advancement and to grow even in it. So at a certain moment, we see that this Devahuti, who was a very elevated soul, she became kind of lusty. She wanted children, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. But then, at a certain moment, while she had this sex life with him, she got totally into it and was so much lost in this sex life that she even neglected to cultivate transcendental knowledge. It was all gone. She was totally in ignorance. And then we will see that at a certain moment, Kadama Muni decided to leave, because this is the culture after 50. According to the Vedic culture, the man leaves home and focus himself on vanaprastha, on being attached from family life. So Kadama Muni was just, Jai Shri Prahlad Lakshmi Nrsimha Bhagavan ki Jai. So at a certain moment, Kadama Muni was preparing to leave his wife, okay? And then Devahuti, she started to lament. What did she say? I made notes because yesterday it was like, I came to hear that I have to give class, so I made some notes here. Okay, so she started to lament because her husband was about to leave, and then Kadama Muni pacified her. He said, my dear wife, don't lament, because she said, I have 9 daughters, my dear husband, and you're leaving me. And if you leave me, there is no man, but the men are to protect the woman. I don't have sons. I don't have a son who can protect me or can even instruct me about transcendental knowledge, because I wasted my time by all this bodily affection to you. So, and now you're leaving me. And so Kadama Muni pacified her and said, don't worry. You just think about the Lord, do tapasya, and the Lord will surely grant you with a son, Kapila Dev. And Kapila Dev is no other than the Lord himself. Okay? That's where, this is the background. And then Kapila Dev appeared. And here we see in this verse how Kapila Deva is instructing his mother in transcendental knowledge. You see, this Kapila Deva, he came to earth. He's an incarnation of Krishna who came as the son of Krishna, and he had only one purpose to appear. Only one purpose. And the purpose is as follows. First, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 21, Verse 32. Here, Lord Kapila is explaining why he came to planet Earth. He says, Lord Kapila speaks to his father, Kadama Muni, before leaving home. Kapila says, I shall manifest my own plenary portion through your wife, Devahuti, along with your 9 daughters. And now it comes. And I shall instruct her in the system of philosophy that deals with principles or categories. I shall instruct her in the Sankhya Philosophy. That was his aim, to impart this Sankhya Philosophy to his mother. And it is said that the Sankhya Philosophy is the godly philosophy, because there is also another Sankhya Philosophy, which is a godless philosophy. Because here we are speaking about a philosophy about God. So, actually, by the so-called misdeed of Devahuti, who get very lusty and had sex desires, so actually by this so-called misdeed, we are fortunate, because that's why Lord Kapila appeared. Devahuti didn't make time for hearing and cultivating transcendental knowledge. And when her husband left, she thought, oh, my Krishna, now I wasted my time. My husband is such an elevated soul. I could have associated with him to beget his transcendental knowledge, but I wasted all my time. And because of her good fortune, Krishna appeared as Kapila. So it's our good fortune that this happened, because that's why Lord Kapila appeared and brought us his teachings. Now we see that at a certain moment Kapila left, and not Kapila, Kadama Muni left, and then Devahuti, she stands at the shore of, Bindu Sarovara, near the Saraswati river, and she's lamenting. She's looking at her son, Kapila. She sees Kadama Muni leaving, and then she started to speak to her son, and she said, my dear son, she started to lament, and she said, you know, I was so much in ignorance, my dear son, so much in ignorance. I was covered by Maya. I was so much into bodily concepts of life. The only relation that I had at a certain moment with my husband was sex life, was bodily relation. And this is something which I really regret now. And actually, Deva Huti represents us. Because we always discover too late that we were wrong. That's the nature of us. When somebody saintly is gone, we think, oh, I wasted my time. I could have associated more with this person. But instead, I was so much into the this is me, this is mine, my father, my mother, my sister, my cat, my dog, everything is bodily concept of life. I'm so focused on this concept of life that I even forget saintly persons amongst me to get their association. So she was very much regretting this part. And then she said, my dear son, I regret it so much. From now on, I take shelter onto your lotus feet. She treats him not as her son, but really as the Lord. I take shelter unto your lotus feet, and please instruct me, impart me the transcendental knowledge. That's her only aim and only request and prayer to Lord Kapila. And now we see how Lord Kapila is taking this task serious. First, he explains to her about devotional service. That was the previous chapter. That is chapter 25. It was about what's devotional service. Now in this chapter, entitled what is the title? Fundamental Principles of Material Nature, Lord Kapila explains to her about the nature, our nature, the soul, about the body. That's and the influence of material nature on our body and soul by the three modes of material nature. We are ruled. We think we are ruling the world and we are lording over the nature, but it's not like that. Mother Nature is lording over us through the three modes of material nature, which are the modes of material nature. Number one, which are the mode of material nature. Ignorance is the first one. We are in ignorance, that is Tama. The other mode we are ruled by is ignorance. Then we have passion, Raja. And we are ruled by goodness also, and that is Sattva. So, this is what's going on in this chapter. Okay, this chapter has some very nice elements. I read it again. Because of his forgetfulness, the transcendental living entity accepts the influence of material energy as his field of activities. And thus actuated, he wrongly applies the activities to himself. So, the important elements in this verse is, the first thing is, that the living entity is forgetful. We can't remember like the people from Satya Yuga, what we did 10,000 years ago. 1,000 years ago is also difficult. Even 1 week ago is difficult for us to remember what we were doing at the same time here in Simhashalam. So the first thing is the living entity is forgetful. He's forgetful. I have to put my glasses, but my head is aching a little bit. And yes, that's the first element in this verse, that he is forgetful. So he forgot that he has by origin a pure consciousness. A pure consciousness. That means he has all the godly qualities like the Lord has, because by nature we are part and parcel of the Lord. By nature we are pure. So he forgot he has an original pure consciousness. And this forgetfulness, this comes because under the influence of the material energy, this whole pure consciousness transforms into material consciousness. And that's leading toward forgetfulness. Okay, another thing we see here is, in this verse is, because we have not a pure consciousness but a material consciousness, we think that all the activities we are performing are our activities. This is our field of our activities, and this is our activities. Another thing here is mentioned is the consciousness cannot be killed. The consciousness is eternal. What is consciousness? Consciousness is our living force. You know, if we don't have this consciousness, which is embodied in the soul, then we're dead. It's only by the consciousness, which is our living force, we are moving and acting. Yes, that's the importance of the consciousness. And what we have to do, this verse says, the last sentence, is we have to change the mode of consciousness from material consciousness to Krishna consciousness. Is this consciousness, there's nothing wrong with it, only we have to transform it again from material to pure consciousness. It is a changing of the mode, because the consciousness itself will never go away, will never die. We have to transform. And how? And the verse said, we can do this by accepting Krishna as the master and ourselves as eternal servants of Krishna. That's our constitutional position. As long as we think that we are the master and that we can rule over the world, then you are immaterial consciousness. So we have to change this whole mindset. So what is this consciousness? As I said, it is the driving force in us. His Holiness Radhanath Swami sometimes said, it's we always say we are not this body, you know, we are the soul. But he said, actually we have to say we are in this body. This body is nothing. We are that one, that the self which is in the body. That's the consciousness. The consciousness, Bhagavad Gita gives a nice definition in chapter 2, verse 17. Avinasitu tatvidhi yena sarvam idham tatam prasam avasyasya nakachit kartum arhati. It means that which pervades the entire body should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. And in the purport we read, this is the nature of the soul, the consciousness. In the purport we read, this verse explains the real nature of the soul, which is spread over all the body. What is spread over all the body? That's consciousness. Yes? So we all are conscious of our pains and our pleasures in our body. But Krishna is not in your body. I'm not conscious about the pains and pleasures in your body. But the difference with Krishna is he is conscious of the pleasure and the pains of every living entity. Yeah? And what is the soul? The consciousness is, it is 1/10,000th part of the top of my hair point. Here is my hair point, and 1/10,000th time of this hair point is the soul. That is our consciousness, and that's our driving living force. And without that, you're lying dead on the floor. Okay, let's go to the next one. So we forget all this. That's the essence of this. Kapila's telling his mother, "Mother, you forgot all this." And why? Because why are we forgetful? Who knows why? Because we have a body. Because we are changing body. That's why we are forgetfulness. Krishna has no body. He's spirit. He's never changing body. But because of the change of this body, which is made of material elements, earth, water, you know, this body is made of material elements, and we change this body constantly, and this material, that's why we forget everything we did in the past. There is where the forgetfulness comes from, okay? Krishna, you know this from the Bhagavad Gita, briefly, so Krishna was instructing Arjuna, and he said, Arjuna, you know, all this science of yoga, I'm explaining to you now, Arjuna, but I already did, you know. I explained it in Treta Yuga, long time ago, to Vivasvan, the sun god. And the sun god explained it to his son, Manu. And Manu explained it to Ikshvaku. Then Arjuna said, Krishna, how come? That was verse 4:5 for Bhagavad Gita 4:4. How come you explained it to Vivasvan? Vivasvan was living in Treta Yuga, and you came here in Dwapara Yuga later. He was here earlier than you. And then Krishna says, Arjuna, you are a devotee, but still you forget. I, Krishna, remember everything, the past, present, future of every living entity. Why? You forget. I don't forget. Because it's due to the change of body. You change your body, but my body is never changing. I don't have a body. For me, I'm Advaita. For me, there is no difference between body and spirits. I'm eternal. I have my eternally Satchit Ananda body, full of knowledge, full of bliss, eternal. That's my body. So forgetfulness comes from changing this body. Okay. Now Apila explains to his mother how, mother says, how can I get released, my dear son, from all this influence of the material nature that drives me crazy? Because of this material nature, I have the body, I forget who I am, I forget that I'm a spirit soul, I think I'm the body, so all these nonsense things, how can I get rid of him? And that is how, why Kapila explained here the Sankhya philosophy. The Sankhya philosophy is very nice. I'm not going to dive deep in it, but it is an analytical study, step by step, how to get transcendental knowledge. And it is about, like this, I can explain to you what is happening here, what he is doing, Kapila, to his mother Deo. The Sankhya study is, he comes with the first principle. He said, mother, to get rid of this material influence, the most important principle is, the question is that you can understand who Krishna is. Everybody can understand who Krishna is. That's not difficult. How? Only by the process of devotional service. It's not by reading alone. Of course, reading is a process of devotional service. Here, this is doing service, practicing it. So only by, that's the first thing. Bhakti mam abhijanati. That means only by devotional service we can understand the Lord. And Kapila also said, it's not, and we have to make efforts to understand the Lord. It's not like, okay. No, if you are becoming a Krishna devotee, you must understand the Lord. Take time to understand the Lord. Krishna, and what is this understanding of the Lord? There are three things which are very important in the life of a devotee. The first one is to build up a relationship with Krishna in Sambandha. Sambandha means the understanding stage, trying to understand who is Krishna, who is this person, what are his pastimes, what is his internal energy, his external energy, what are his expansions, his incarnation, what is his relationship with me. He is Ishvara, he's God, I'm Jiva, I'm the servant. Understanding, that's the first step. Kapila explains to his mother, the Sambandha stage. And when you, and then the second step is Let's see. Yeah, I made a kind of structure. The second step is when you get to understand that your relation with Krishna, He's the Lord, I'm the servant, and you repeat constantly, oh, He's the Lord, He's lording, and He's the enjoyer, I'm not the enjoyer. I support Krishna to enjoy. I myself may not enjoy, but I have to support them to enjoy. If you understand that, then step 2 in the Sankhya philosophy is here. Then you have to live it. It's not only understanding, it's do it, act. Then act as a servant. Don't say I'm a servant, just do it. And that is the abhideya stage. Abhideya is to live as a servant. You know, Krishna, sorry, Prabhu, can I serve you? Because if I serve you, then Krishna will be pleased. Not if I lord over you and correct you constantly and see all faults in you, then Krishna will go far away from me. I have to act as a humble servant. That's my constitutional position. So we have to live it. To live it. That's the most important part. You know? And then there's last stages. And if you act as a humble, tolerant, nice servant, pleasing Krishna, then the way to prayojana. Prayojana is you can go back to Godhead. Okay? So this... yeah. So now Devahuti realized one thing. She thought, oh my Krishna, see what I did. I had this wonderful husband, Kardama Muni, saintly person, very saintly. He even saw Krishna personally, but I didn't get, I didn't use his association maximum to benefit myself. Instead, I messed it up by developing sex desires, lusty desires. So Devahuti had she realized, and now I'm going to read. She realized that she only can free herself from all this material influence when she freed herself from sense enjoyment, and not a little bit, fully. We have to get free from this sense enjoyment. We have to transform it in sense pleasure for Krishna. So she understood this, and a nice purport I found in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, 26, verse 1. I read it as follows. As long as one has even a slight desire to enjoy. So you have a slight desire to enjoy or to lord over the material nature, there is no chance of his being freed from the influence of material nature. So we have to work hard that we get rid of all these desires, in the sense that even if you have a tiny desire still for material nonsense, it will block you in your part of spirituality. Okay, of course, this is the mercy of the Lord, but I'm not talking about, but because of the mercy of the Lord, everything can happen. If He wants you to go back to Godhead, He does this, whoop, and you go back to Godhead. But I'm not talking about the mercy, because that mercy part is another story. So, what Kapila is teaching his mother is understand in an analytical way, mother, the Sankhya philosophy, how you can get free of all these material sense enjoyment, and I explained to you the way. So the teachings of Lord Kapila is very important. Maybe we underestimate it, but it is very important for us because it will impart us with transcendental knowledge. And why is transcendental knowledge so, I'm coming to an end, why is transcendental knowledge so important? Why is it so important that we gain this knowledge? Because it is the knowledge which cuts off all the nuts in with our attachments. I explained, it's very difficult. The nuts the knots with our attachment. Okay. First of all, when you're alone, then you get attached. We have a lot of attachments. First, you get attached to your body, to your money, to your job because of the money. You got attached to so many things, to your nation, to your friends. That's the first attachment. Now you see a nice girl and you marry that nice girl, and here it goes. You got attached to your wife, and then she wants nice clothes. You want to see her beauty. You got attached to what she's doing. You get children, the same happened. This is an expansion of the bodily concept. It's not only me now. It is me and my wife and my children and my boss and my cat and my dog. And you get attached to all these things. And that's why it's important to gain transcendental knowledge, because by this knowledge, the knot with all these attachments will fade away. And it is very difficult. We see Queen Kunti in her prayers to Lord Krishna said, "Oh, dear Krishna." And Queen Kunti is the most elevated personality. She is purity herself. And even she asked Krishna, "Oh, Krishna, help me and take away the knots, my attachment with my family." She was still attached to her son. Although she is an elevated soul, still she asked Krishna, "Cut off this knot with my sons." You see, so this is a very difficult task, but we have to try to do it. This is too much, and now I'm going to cut some pieces. So, I'm going to skip something. So you see, we see that there are 4 types of persons who are seeking for the Lord, who are seeking for transcendental knowledge. Who knows? Who are these type of persons? Yes. So there are 4 types of persons who are seeking for the Lord. Those who inquire, they're curious. They want to know, hey, who's the Lord actually? The distressed, when you are depressive and you have a lot of problems and you're super distressed, they say, oh my Lord, where are you? Okay? One without money is also seeking for the Lord. He wants wealth. And then the 4th category is the seekers. There are people who are just looking, the jnanis, they're looking for knowledge. All these 4 categories. Krishna says, the one who has knowledge, if you have knowledge, then you're a good devotee. A good devotee, if you have knowledge about me. Krishna says, when you are not attached to the material things, you're a good devotee. But when you are not attached and you have knowledge, then you're better. And the best devotee is the one, and that's important, the best devotee is the one, and that's we are aiming for, is we are aiming for transcendental knowledge and doing devotional service. Krishna says, that person is my best devotee. Yeah? And this is why we see here in the Canto 3 that in chapter 25, Krishna is teaching his mother devotional service, because devotional service in combination with transcendental knowledge, that's the best devotee. If you don't have knowledge, then Prabhupada said you are in Krishna consciousness and acting in sentiment. It's both we have to gain. So devotional Krishna consciousness without knowledge is acting on sentiment. Then I come to the end. Yeah, I come to the end now. So our problem is that we have transcendental knowledge. We are born with transcendental knowledge because we are part and parcel of Krishna. We have pure consciousness by birth. But our problem is that now being influenced in this material world, this pure consciousness is covered. It's covered by Krishna's material energy, which is called Maya. Maya, it is Maya who makes us forget everything. And then one may inquire, yes, why are we here then? Why are we here on planet Earth in the material world? It was so nice with Krishna. Why are we here? Why is Krishna so bad to dump us in the material world, and here we suffer a lot? Now, we are here not because Krishna dumped us in the material world and made us suffer, but we are here only because of Krishna's sweetness. His sweetness. Can you imagine? Because it is us. We had the tendency to enjoy and say, Krishna, please, why are you enjoying alone? Can we also enjoy? Come on. Okay, kids, you want to do that? Really? Then I create the material world for you. It has never been Krishna's personal will to create a material world. But he gave us a podium, a stage where we can enjoy. And that's why we ourselves brought us in the position that we are constantly suffering. And also the suffering is not suffering. It is our benediction. It's even a gift from Krishna. You want, go, enjoy, you will suffer. You will see what a nonsense world this is. Because in the material world, you will always have adibhoitika, adiatmika, adidaivaka. You will have the miseries from your own body, diseases. You will have the miseries from others. Others are treating you very bad. They are gossiping about you. Okay, you have the miseries of the demigods, earthquakes. All these things happen. So, and Krishna says, you want to go, suffer. And when you suffer, one day you will come to the point that, what am I doing here? I have only problems. I can't solve him. The only one who can solve him is Krishna. Yeah, I end with this. You know, Arjuna, he said he thought he could solve all the problems, you know. But when he had to fight on the battlefield and kill his own family, he thought, I don't want to kill my family. What is this crazy instruction of Krishna? So he couldn't solve that problem. And Krishna told him, you're not killing them. They're already dead. Either you killed them or me. They're already dead. What you see here is the body. Now, and then Arjuna said, because he couldn't solve this problem, he said, Krishna, Bhagavad Gita 2:7, now I'm so confused. I see that I depend on you, that I can't solve any problem. My whole, how do you say, arrogancy and false ego is gone now. Now I ask you, tell me what to do. Instruct me. And it is this position Krishna wants us to gain here in the material world. We're suffering, and then we come to the point that we can't solve it, that we are dependent, that we need Krishna, and then we come to realize that we are the servants of Krishna and not the boss. Okay? And then you see here, by transcendental knowledge, all the attachments, we get free from all the attachments. Yes? This one small thing I want to add, and that is, you see, our body is changing, you know. We come again, we change constantly, and how come, or which body do you gain? That's very nice to see how it works, this process. We will gain, if we are material attached, we will gain a body to those we are attached to. You know, your next body is produced by some things, and the things are produced by your own desires. It is produced by your karmas, or your action or reaction. It is produced by your attachments and Krishna's mercy. All these things are the ingredients for your next body. And if you want to see how it works with attachment, I would advise you to read the story about King Bharat. How King Bharat, who was such a wonderful king, so nice and taking care of his kingdom nicely, until, I don't tell the whole story, until he was once just in the forest and he saw mother deer drowning in the water, baby deer alone. And he thought, he had so much compassion, and he thought, my God, who is going to take care of this deer? He take the deer home, and he treated the deer like a child, was eating together with the deer, sleeping with the deer, kissing the deer like a child. And there he was, attached to the deer. And the Bhagavad Gita says, at the time of death, that what you remember, that in that state you will come back. So he remembered at the time of death, he was thinking, yes. He was thinking about this deer, and so he came back as a deer because it was somehow or other his own desire. Okay, I went very fast through the last part, okay, so maybe I missed out some things. Thank you so much. I end with this. If there are questions or comments, please feel free. Yes, give me Gita, please. Now the husband and man are and wife are arguing. What is, yes, again, what was the? In the kingdom of God. Yeah, you know, there is nothing wrong. Let me put it in other words. You see, Krishna created the Varna ashram, and one of them is the Grihastha ashram, okay? And that means that man and woman, they get married, so they have sex life. But there's nothing wrong with the sex life in itself if it is for the purpose of begetting children. So what in Krishna consciousness, there is also a kind of sex desire, which is not a problem. That's why brahmacharis at a certain moment, is that what you mean? Okay. Yes. 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 Yeah, that it is a good question, Ramananda Gopal. It's a very good question, but I'm here only repeating what the Shastra says as the explanation. It's a good question, I will think about it, but in the Shastras it is mentioned, and I had the first, I wrote it, it is mentioned that the reason why we came to this material world, yes, I have it here. Srimad Bhagavatam, it is my phone, oh Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 29. Can you put my bag outside maybe, something like that? Sorry. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 21, 20, Krishna, it's stated here, my dear Lord, although it is not your desire, you manifest creation of growth. My dear Lord, although it's not your desire, you manifest creation of gross and subtle elements just for our sensual satisfaction. Yes. So Krishna, there is in the spiritual world, there is no, actually there is everything in the spiritual world is meant to be for the enjoyment of Krishna, for Krishna's pleasure. But if you look at the Vaikuntha planets, there's a lot of material enjoyment. All the demigods, the only thing they think about is wife, a woman. So the spiritual world is not only Goloka Vrindavan, because there is no question of enjoyment, own enjoyment. There the gopis and the gopas are so much imbued in loving exchanges with the Lord. But if you see in the Vaikuntha planets, there is this enjoyment is there. So on the demigods, even Lord Brahma was running after his own daughter, you see, and Shiva was running after the Mohini Murti. So there is Yes. No. But what did I say then? The spiritual world? No, Krishna, we were in the spiritual world, but the spiritual world can be the Vaikuntha planets as well. Actually, it is here confirmed in 3:21:20 that the reason why we came here while we were with Krishna is because we wanted to enjoy ourselves and lord over the material nature. Somehow or other, it happened that Srimad Bhagavatam 3:21:20. You can read it where the Lord explains. Oh, I can read it for you. That's very nice. Because that's the reason why we are here, is Krishna fulfills our desires. No, Krishna created, it is written that Krishna created, he didn't want to create the material world even by his personal will. He created the material world because of us. Yeah, I don't know where the desire comes from. It is Krishna's arrangement. It is Krishna's arrangement to this desire comes from Krishna. It is like the whole battlefield of Arjuna. Arjuna is the wonderful, the topmost devotee, and still he acts like, what shall I do? I'm totally confused. And what are you telling me now? But he knows, he has all the knowledge. It's a whole drama. So this desire, this pure desire which we have, at a certain moment, Krishna, he wanted to play this drama. I understand. He wanted to perform his pastimes, and to perform his pastimes, he created this drama. I can't give the answer on your question. Where does this desire comes from? Yeah, because I argued with this because it is in the scripture. It is definitely. And now I was about to find the verse, and I will read it for you. 20. No, the verse is not fair. Then I can't give you an answer. Where does this desire, when you say, okay, we were pure, we had this pure consciousness, and how come that we are pure and in the spiritual world and still desire and have this tendency to enjoy? Krishna, for me the answer is Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachit Ananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karanam Karanam. Krishna is the cause of all causes. Yes. 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 This is exactly what Brahma said you have to read the chapter about Brahma's creative energy, where Lord Brahma explains that very nice chapter 3, the creative energy, and where Lord Brahma explains to the Lord, okay, I have to make these planetary systems and the living entities, but at the same time I have compassion because I know they are going to suffer, and how do you say? And that's what I said, that Krishna also imparted him with the transcendental knowledge, so to give him the knowledge to come back, to suffer, to get purified, and to come back. The suffering is not a suffering as pain. We experience suffering as painful, etc. But in the Vedic literature, suffering is not pain. Suffering is to improve. Suffering is to purify yourselves. Like Queen Kunti said, Lord Krishna in her praise, praying the more calamities come on my path, the more calamities, the more I come closer to you. So that's another level of suffering. Yes. 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 Then you have, no, No. Then you have to really read it again. What I'm doing, Ramananda Gopal, is just repeating. I'm not going to speculate. I'm not going to add. I just follow in the footsteps of the parampara, and I say and I accept what is stating here. What is stating here in this verse, what you said you don't want to understand, can't understand, is that Krishna says, but I read it for the others, that then maybe they can understand. Chapter 21, verse 20. I just repeat what is written here. Okay, here it goes. In the purport of this verse, 3:21:20, the purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. It is clearly stated here that the material world is not created by the personal will of the Supreme Lord. It is created by His external energy. Because, now it comes, it is the cause is His external energy. It is Krishna Himself. It is clearly stated here that the material world is not created by the personal will of the Supreme Lord. It is created by His external energy because the living entities want to enjoy. This material world is not created for those who do not want to enjoy sense gratification, who constantly remain in transcendental loving service and were eternally Krishna conscious. So this material world is not created for us devotees, you can say. For them, the spiritual world is eternally existing and they enjoy there. So for the devotees, but yeah, we are here, okay? We're here. Somehow or other we are here. So we messed it up. That's why we're here. We wanted to enjoy. Okay. Elsewhere in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that those who have taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Person of Godhead, this material world is useless. That's for us, this world is useless because this material world is full of danger at every step. It is not meant for the devotees, but for the living entities who want to lord over the material energy. Krishna is so kind, and now it comes to the point. Krishna is so kind that He allows the sense-enjoying living entity a separate world, creating by Him to enjoy as they like. Yet, at the same time, He appears in His personal form. The Lord unwillingly the Lord unwillingly creates this material world, but He descends in His personal form or sends one of His reliable sons or servants, like Vyasadeva, to give instruction. He Himself also instructs in His speeches of Bhagavad Gita. The propaganda work goes on side by side with the creation to convince the misguiding living entities who are rotting in this material world to come back to Him and to surrender unto Him. Therefore, the last instruction of the Bhagavad Gita is this: give up all your manufactured engagements in the material world and just surrender unto me. I shall protect you from all sinful reactions. So here you see that Krishna, by his own external energy, somehow or other, Krishna thought, so I can't explain, they want to enjoy. That's stated here. So He said, here you have the world I created for you. Go in and enjoy. But at the same time, that's what I said, at the same time, He felt pity, and Brahma is also explaining this, and that He sent His agents, His representatives, to come and get us back. We are misguided by His external energy, Maya. She's in the spiritual world. There is no Maya. No, wait. Yes, thank you. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Okay, okay. Yeah, yeah. They in the spiritual world, they okay. This goes too far, but even probably, you know, maybe I'm too strict, but I don't. If Prabhupada writes this, I just accept it. I don't want to know even how come this desire in the spiritual world to enjoy. It comes because Krishna wants it to come, because Krishna wants to learn us lessons. We are in the material world here, and he wants to learn us lessons. Like she said, you can enjoy, but enjoy with me. Put me in the center, then there's nothing wrong with this enjoyment. But if you turn away and you want to enjoy yourself, yes, yeah, yeah. And yes, Krishna. Ah, yes, yes, I'm coming. Yes. Yes, but no, okay. He is. He, your point is a good point, but his point is, how can it be if you're in the spiritual world, you're in Krishna, you see Krishna around? How can you have the tendency to enjoy? Oh, you only want to enjoy with Krishna. Yes, that maybe that's a fact, but that's like that. But Krishna created the whole Bhagavad Gita and all these things and the material world for us lessons to learn. So somehow or other we were not that pure. We can't compare ourselves with the gopis and the gopas. Even Uddhava, who is Krishna's most intimate friend, when he saw the gopis and the gopas, he was like, whoa, this is far beyond me. How can we think that we had that level of the gop? It is for me, it's the my Guru Maharaj often emphasize this love in Golokadam of the gopis and the gopas, this spontaneous love without any motivation, without any unallied, unmotivated. This is far away beyond for us. If even Uddhava was flabbergasted by seeing this love, who are we? Yeah. Yes, Mataji. Yes. Okay. Ah, tell us. Oh, out of curious. We were curious, she says. We were curious. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, uh, mhm. uh, there are, yeah, but the spiritual world is big. There are levels of spiritual, there are levels in the spiritual world. We didn't the highest level is Goloka Vrindavan, the gopis of the gopas. Even Lord Brahma doesn't have that level, so th- yeah, but he, okay, he's Okay, but he's more elevated than us. That's what I wanted to say. So he's more, even he is more elevated, and even he doesn't have this level. And Uddhava was from the spiritual world, and even he doesn't have this level. So I don't think that we want had this level of the gopis and the gopas yet. I think we were in the spiritual world, but then that level where still there was a tinge for sense enjoyment, and that's why we fall down here. And Krishna, out of mercy, tries to get us back, and that's why he makes us suffer. So we are not in the highest region of this spontaneous love. If all these great authorities, they even pray to Krishna, to be with Krishna, if they were not there, who are we? Mm. We in the material world, who are we? Who are we? If Uddhava, who is the such a topmost spiritual person who met Krishna, was Krishna's best friend, if he... Yes, but in previous life he was an intimate of Krishna. All these saintly personalities, they were in previous life, they were already associating with Krishna. Yeah, okay, then you have to ask this question to somebody else, because I didn't find the answer here, and we have to find what Prabhupada said about. But in generally,